Republican Congressman Darrell Issa joins us right now to talk, well, maybe about that, but more so, first of all, at least, Congressman, about what's happening or not happening in Washington. We're in the midst of this partial government shutdown. From what we hear, what we read, looks like this one could go on a while. Do you think it lasts past January 3rd when the Democrats take control of the House?
I do. I don't believe Nancy Pelosi has any incentive not to simply allow this to continue, get her speakership established, have that critical vote, and then probably say, look, no compromise. I didn't want a wall. My left-wing support doesn't want a wall. And it could go well into a new Congress, one that I will not be at it for the first time in 18 years.
Yeah, I know. You're moving into a new position and leaving the House of Representatives. I think that gives it or lets you have kind of an interesting perspective, almost looking in on this as an outsider or an outsider to be. What do you make of the way your own party, the Republican Party, handled it this time around politically?
Well, it's always a difficult strategy. The one thing that was done well was a big chunk of the government is open and fully funded, so that it's a little more isolated. Obviously, the president as commander-in-chief will continue to deal with some of the essential areas, homeland security and defense. I think the important thing, though, is that what you saw in the market today is, in fact, part of bad news when there is no bad news. In other words, the economy is strong. Taking on China, everyone around the world agrees needed to happen. Mnuchin making those calls to banks to double check. Having a real debate about border security and immigration reform. All of these things have worried the market into overselling, and everyone knows it. But in fact, we're not done overselling before we get a rally that is probably going to be second to none in modern times.
You might be right. We're waiting for it. Everybody waiting for it to see when that turnaround will come. Since you brought it up, let me ask you about the Mnuchin calls in terms of whether or not something like that should have been made public. You're calling up the bank CEOs, as you say, to double check, make sure they're all right, they have enough cash on hand to lend, they don't have any liquidity issues. They say, yeah, we're fine. And the Treasury is telling us this was just a preemptive move after all the volatility that we've seen. But it seems like a lot of investors took it as, wait a minute, do we have a problem that we didn't think was a problem? And they started to overthink it a little bit. Do you think these calls should have been made public?
Well, I think you've universally heard that it probably would have been better not to have them public. I don't have Secretary Mnuchin's perspective. I will tell you that had it been me, at least as a private citizen, I'd have called Jamie Dimon up and said, where do you think the banking industry is? Give me your perspective, and probably taken that to the bank without a second call. But having said that, belt and suspenders sometimes is a good idea. Nobody wants that black swan event. And, when in 2009 they called it a black swan, when in fact everybody saw the overinvestment in speculative housing. So we don't have that situation now. What we have is a core good economy. A lot of things that need to be fixed are underway, including regulatory reform.
Now, there are a number of issues that this administration will have to deal with heading into 2019, some of which we've already talked about. Obviously, China trade is kind of hanging over the markets, and everybody's wondering what will happen next. I understand the Federal Reserve is an issue and how they're handling interest rates. But the president's also under a lot of political pressure, not necessarily because of the government shutdown, but as you know, you would think at some point in the next few months we'll hear what the special counsel Robert Mueller has to say. How concerned should the public be and the investment community be about that, do you think?
I don't think the public should be concerned at all. Anything that takes 2 years to try to come up with a case on something that was based on, quite frankly, the Democratic National Committee and a false dossier probably has limited impact. On top of that, as I think has been well established by scholars on both sides of the aisle, you cannot indict a sitting president. The president certainly didn't do anything that would be, quote, an impeachable offense. So what we're dealing with is that the special prosecutor may come out with additional indictments. He may come out with allegations. But at the end of the day, he's going to go away and finally allow a president to govern without looking at something from a campaign that is now 2 years behind us.
I know you'll be part, as you're heading over to the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, of that administration and leaving the Congress. We always thank you for your time and all the best with that new position, Congressman. Thanks for coming out. Yep, Merry Christmas.